So today I'm going to be trying being the main word, to stop the degradation of the veneer cracking up, flaking off in my MGF. And hopefully you'll get to yours before you get to the stage mine is, and you can try and reverse or stop the process. But it is trial and error. I've got an old MGF, I don't mind trying a few things out on it, try and help myself, try and help you. So let's have a look at the problem I've got, and you've probably got as well. You can see I'm missing some bits around where first gear should be because the veneer has cracked. Bits have flaked off. Gone! There, that might be a bit better without the sun on it. And the handbrake as well is all cracking up. So, you cannot take the veneer off, clean the surface underneath and bond it back on. The veneer is very, very thin and you'll just destroy it. So you have one of two options. It's repair or replace. So I'm going to try and repair. But what we need to do first is clean. You might have seen the white spirit in there. Clean the surface to get rid of all the oil and grease out of your fingertips, and then abrade it to give the varnish, which I have down here. Just going to be using normal household interior varnish. I've got matte. Should have probably got gloss, but that's what's hanging around in the garage. Like I say, this is an old car, don't mind experimenting on it. So, the idea with the varnish being that it will get into the cracks and hopefully help the veneer adhere again. So you do need to clean first, degrease first, and then you abrade. You need to abrade to get the varnish to stick. It won't stick to a shiny surface. There are only two things that stick to a shiny surface. One of those is silicone, and the other one is that thing that sticks to blankets. So you need an abraded surface, a dulled surface for the varnish to stick, but you need to clean it first. The reason for that being, you've got all that oil and grease on your fingers, and if you don't clean it first, you'll just be sanding, abrading the surface, but you'll be then filling that abraded surface with the oil and grease that's on the gear stick and the handbrake already. So wipe down with white spirit, abrade. It needs to be dull all over. I wouldn't go in any coarser than 800 grit. If you haven't got something as fine as 800 grit, a Brillo pad, you just need to dull the surface all over so the varnish has got something to bite into, and then clean again. Another wipe down with white spirit. So hopefully yours hasn't got to the point where you've got little bits of varnish eggshell disappearing like I've got on mine, and we'll get some varnish on there to seal the surface and hopefully get through the cracks and get in, maybe help the veneer where it's lifting a little bit adhere to the structure underneath. What's the worst that can happen? Right, wipe down, abrade, wipe down again. So just coming back to it very quickly while I'm actually using a bit of Scotch-Brite, hopefully you can see the amount of cracking got in the veneer. It really sort of shows it up once you start sanding away. And the same here. I don't know whether that's better with the sun on it or off, but there you go, hopefully you can see some of the cracking. Right, carry on. So back again, abraded and degreased. Hopefully you can see it's just not quite as shiny as it was, it's a little bit dull, and I'm moving it with my fingers down here. And the reason for that being, I said about getting the oil and grease from years of fingertips off the gear stick and the handbrake. Once you've done that, don't put it back on with your fingers. Once it's abraded, once it's cleaned, degreased, don't touch it again with your fingers. So now it's a bit where we find out whether you're an artist or not, and I'm not an artist. Very small, very fine brush, and a varnish. And this is where it can all go horribly wrong. I'm not an artist, and yeah, this is the bit I'm dreading, but in for a penny, in for a pound. Did I say what's the worst that could happen? We're about to find out. First coat is on, see it's sealing up these areas where it's been flaking off. And don't be concerned about the fact that the varnish is white. And when you put it on, you just want enough to really spread it around, really spread it around. Really fine. Something like that. So, no runs, really fine. Build up the layers. Build up the layers. It dries to clear finish. Don't worry about it being white. You can see I'm going to have to do this quick because I'm in the sunshine. But don't worry about it being white. It goes on clear. Just work around just a very fine layer. An hour or so between coats, and then a good 8 hours to dry. After putting on, I'll put 3, maybe 4 coats. See how it goes. So anyway, got to crack on with this before that first bit is done. Starts to dry. Do it. Leave it. Stop. Don't fiddle with it. Don't come back to it 20 minutes later and start doing this, because you just drag the surface around. Put it on, leave it to dry. Right. Later. 4 layers of varnish, and 24 hours later, let's see what we've got. Not bad. It's a darker finish than it had before. I've managed to fill in that number 1 area quite well. It's sealed now. Before it was flaky. Before it was flaky, and you can see where bits have come off. More bits were going to come off. And as I said earlier in the video, the whole idea of this was to try and stop it from degrading any further. And hopefully the varnish will have got underneath all these little areas and just sort of made its way that way and this way, dried and sealed it in. You can still see some crazing and cracking underneath. Hopefully the same has happened there. If not, it's got a sort of outer shell of varnish now. Same around here. Had some cracks just there, and that would have had a good coat of varnish in there as well. So gave it a bit of wedge. Other polishes are available. Didn't really make a lot of difference, but I'm happy with the overall finish. Will it stop it from falling to pieces? Only time will tell. But I think you'll agree that looks better than where we started.